live. So I'd like to call the September 12th, 2022 meeting of the Town of Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Ms. Robison, please call the roll.
Here.
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 Here. Please take note of the fire exits located in the front and the rear of this room. At this time, please silence all cell phones and pagers. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Has everyone read the minutes of the July 11th, 2022 meeting? I know it was a while ago, guys. Are there any corrections? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A second?
I'll second.
Ms. Robison, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion. The Cicero Town Board acknowledges the importance of full public participation at all public meetings, and therefore we urge all who wish to address those in attendance to please come to the microphone located in the front of the room. Based on recent interactions between tonight's applicant and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, it has been relayed to us that the New York State DEC has withdrawn their request to designate a lead agency and have concurred with the proposed action as being a type 2 action. Therefore, at this time, I will make a motion that all actions taken tonight are type 2 actions and have a negative that is no impact on the environment unless otherwise indicated. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Rabia.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion. We have proof that all items on tonight's agenda have been advertised as directed by law. I will briefly review the process for tonight's meeting for the benefit of those present that have never been before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Each applicant will have an opportunity to describe their project. The board will then ask questions about the project. I will then open a public hearing where people will be able to speak for or against the proposed variance. The applicant will then be given the opportunity to respond to public input and provide additional information. Board members will again have the opportunity to question the applicant. The board will then openly discuss amongst ourselves the 5 factors that contribute to the final decision. This board does not have a pre-agenda meeting, so there is no prior discussion of the cases outside of this meeting. Finally, a motion will be made either approving or denying the requested variance, seconded and voted upon. So our first case tonight is an application for 6571 East Taft Road. That's tax map 059-0135.0 for a proposed fence that is 9 feet tall and contains barbed wire where fences no more than 6 feet tall are allowed and fences containing barbed wire material are prohibited. The owner is National Grid and the applicant is Yancy Wells. Mr. Wells, if you could proceed and describe your variance.
All right. Okay, so the gas regulating station currently has a fence with barbed wire on it all the way around it. The station is positioned off of the Taft Road quite a ways. You can hardly see it. So it's a narrow driveway. And I presented all of the information of why we do what we do to you guys. And so we plan on revising the station with more. It's going to be just a little bit bigger, and the barbed wire will go on top, just like it's described in the document here. And it'll look nice when it's done. We do that for all our stations, and it's for protecting the station. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty nice when it's done. And there's currently barbed wire there already. So that's why we asked for the variance.
Okay. So for the benefit of the board, on the map that's up there right now, the proposed fence is represented by the purple dashed line. And then the existing fence is set back enclosing the perimeter, the black dashed line.
Right.
And that, is this a significant, the height, is it the same height as the
It's gonna
existing?
be probably just a little bit higher when you go in there. It's up there, so just be a little bit higher. I'm just considering the matting, the chain link, and then barbed wire is above that.
Okay.
So
I'm curious about whether there was, so there's a 9-foot high fence there already. Was there already an area variance in place? I mean, how did that fence get there?
I'm sorry.
I think that was from original construction, and it's been a lot of years at that
Oh, so
station.
it was before the code.
I think it predates. Yeah, there's no record of any previous variance.
And that's partly reason to come here, so we can get it on record that, if it's approved or disapproved, that we track it and going forward for anybody else.
What are you keeping now? Are people silly enough to try to vandalize one of these things? I mean, like you're,
We haven't had any problems with it so far,
Yeah.
people vandalizing, but I think we do it for all. This is like the electrical standard also for substations.
Right.
So keep everybody out as much as possible, keep them safe, and it seems to work.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Were you in receipt of the Onondaga County Planning Board's decision? They
got-
referred it to us, so you don't have to worry
I've got
about
these
that.
two.
Okay,
yeah.
good. So with that, if there aren't any questions, at this time, I will open the public hearing. I'll ask if anyone would speak for this. Ask if anyone would speak against this. I have to ask those questions. This time I will close the public hearing. Any other questions, or would somebody like to cover the 5 factors? Propose a variance? It's all mine.
Okay. Do you need me anymore?
Well, let's, that'll make me feel better. Stand up here while I'm doing this and this. We'll keep, we'll keep going after that. All right, so. The proposed variance. Let's talk about the 5 factors that we need to discuss before granting such a variance. First is whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties would be created. My answer to that is no. Reasoning behind that is that this area is set back and relatively protected from the road and surrounding properties, and it's not much of a change from what's there except for expanding the actual boundaries of the fence.
It's also wooded and not viewable from the road.
Chuck, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Quick question. Is this going to become a standard for majority of the facilities? Or is it already a standard and this one is just lagging in the permitting?
So when we go to rebuild these, we bring them up to standard,
Okay.
and this is a standard fence code
Okay,
for National Grid.
very good. Thank you.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Second is whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. My answer to that is no. To meet the security concerns that were brought up tonight, the applicant believes the 9-foot tall fence is required, that's topped with barbed wire.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Whether the requested variance is substantial. In this case, I'm going to answer yes. Our typical fence is 6 feet tall. This is about 150. This is a 150% increase on that. The one thing that I would note is that the applicant has expressed some security concerns here, so it seems like it's warranted. This is not necessarily a reason to deny the variance.
I mean, I think given what we're protecting or trying to keep people away from, I think it makes sense, right? I mean.
Yeah, critical infrastructure is something we'd want to make sure we keep buttoned up.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? My answer to that is no. Again, we're set back very far from the road. We're secluded. We're obscured for the most part. And it really doesn't change any conditions that are out there right now.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Finally, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. My answer to that is yes, as it usually is on these, the applicant is choosing to construct a fence that is taller than the code permits. However, I should note that this is not necessarily a reason to deny the variance.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
So with that, I would like to make a motion on behalf of National Grid for a proposed fence that is 9 feet tall and contains barbed wire where fences no higher than 6 feet tall are allowed and barbed wire material is prohibited.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. Rabia.
Yes, to the motion.
Yes, the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Motion passed. Yes.
There with
Yeah, I'll explain that after the meeting. Because I kind of hit that before we went in. So our next meeting is scheduled for October 3rd, pending any cases. Does anyone else have any business before the board? Okay, there being no other business before the board. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, meeting adjourned.